Good evening, everyone. Joined here this evening at the Anchorage Middletown Fire Department headquarters with Chief Grudy and Steve Cunanan from the Red Cross. Let me first by thanking all of our first responders here in the Anchorage Middletown Fire Department, as well as others across the entire city that have been actively involved throughout this afternoon. Thank the National Weather Service for their forecast that help give people the ability to heed the warning and take shelter, which to date, as far as we know, has worked. I'm pleased to report that as of right now, there are 0 injuries or deaths to report from this storm. No injuries that we are aware of at this time. The damage that we're seeing, particularly in the Prospect area of our city, is consistent with a tornado. However, there is no confirmation that a tornado has touched down. The National Weather Service is currently surveying the damage. They will continue to survey the damage this evening as long as daylight permits. They will be back at it tomorrow morning, and we will rely on their information before any confirmation regarding a tornado. But again, the damage that we're seeing out there, which I'll talk about in a second, appears to be consistent, but there's no confirmation of that yet. The bulk of the damage that we're aware of at this time, again, is in the Prospect neighborhood. It appears that the damage started in the Beachland Beach area right there along the Ohio River, moved south and east just to the side of the Sutherland neighborhood, and also then crossed US 42 into the Hunting Creek neighborhood. Again, Anchorage Middletown Fire Departments have been out on the scene, going street by street. When they see damage, they've been reaching out to neighbors and houses to check on everyone there. We've been here monitoring live drone footage. You can see that there is definitely roof damage. There is definitely significant damage to homes. There's significant damage to fences, to trees throughout that area. Both in Bass Road, for example, appears to be one of the streets that has the most damage, as well as Foxcroft in Hunting Creek neighborhood. This is just the worst hit area, again, just south of Hayes Kennedy Park. Right in that general vicinity, there is a Louisville Water Company facility there along the Ohio River in Prospect. They have power. There are no material damage to that facility. There is no risk to the water supply at this time. So the Louisville Water Company facility there, while close to the damage, is good, and there's no risk to the water supply at this time. Again, along with the trees being down, there are wires down as well. Some of these trees are blocking roads at this time. We are working very closely with LG&E to turn off the power to those lines so that crews can then clear the trees and we can reopen the roads. In addition to the collaboration that we're having with the Anchorage and Middletown Fire Department, there's been great collaboration across other public agencies as well. For example, the state, we are working very closely with the governor and his administration. They have already sent forestry teams that are on scene already to assist with our public works crew to begin cutting down trees as soon as it's safe, when we're aware that there is no power risk from the power line. So the state and public works will be working to clear these trees. We are also aware of several structural collapses that the Anchorage Middletown Fire Department has come across, but again, no rescues or injuries were reported with those structural collapses. In addition to here in the Prospect, and most calls that we're getting right now, I should add, from 911 relate to some outdoor gas smells. We are responding as quickly as we can to all of those, but we have again, those are outdoor issues. While we're talking about 911, between 5:15 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. this evening, our 911 MetroSafe call center received 301 calls. The average wait time for all of those callers was 3 seconds. So again, thanks to everyone in our 911 MetroSafe call center for handling that volume during this storm. Also, while we're speaking about time, at 5:17, our first outdoor warning sirens went off across the city. Additionally, in other parts of the city, one other area that we have some reports of damage right now is in New Cut Road near the outer loop. We have some reports of downed lines, but no structural damage to report. And also our teams, again, in terms of collaboration and partnership, we are working as hard as we can, providing all of the resources that are necessary to address the damage here and to support residents here in Louisville. We are also seeking to help others as well. And so the Louisville Fire Department, along with PRP and Fern Creek Fire Departments, are sending 12 individuals to Henry County to assist them in their efforts as well to deal with the results of this storm. Given all of this, very shortly after we conclude this press conference, I will be declaring a state of emergency for the entire Jefferson County. That will assist our public agencies in the procurement processes to speed up all of the recovery that is needed to clean up following this storm. But again, I'm pleased to report that there are no reports of any injuries or deaths at this time. All of the damage is structural in nature. And I want to give a giant thanks once again to everyone at the Anchorage Middletown Fire Department, to the governor's office, Governor Beshear and his entire team from the state, to the National Weather Service, to our Public Works Department and other Metro agencies, at Metro Safe and our emergency management services, and also our partners at LG&E, everyone working closely in the afternoon into the evening and will throughout the night to continue to ensure that everyone is safe and that we do this cleanup as safely and promptly as possible following this. So now let me turn it over to Chief Grudy, who is Chief of the Anchorage Middletown Fire Department and has been a great partner of ours in all of this effort. Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not to be redundant, so I'll just address some of the operational things we're going through right now. I mean, right now we're in the rapid assessment, actually rapid damage assessment phase that we're just trying to get access as fast as we can and actually do quick search and rescues to make sure nobody's trapped or injured. To start off the operation, we established our EOC right here at headquarters. Right now we have our staging and our actually mobile command post operations are actually set up at our Station 40, which is up in Prospect. So I guess to give you some perspective of just how we're handling this area, because the thing is a very wide area. So right now we have actually two operational areas set up. We have one on the north side of 42, which actually goes towards the river, obviously, and then we have one on the south side of 42, which takes us up into like the Hunting Creek area. So we have two separate commanders operating those operational areas, and it's all being coordinated from our mobile command post, which is located in our staging areas. Obviously, some of the challenges you can expect that we're starting to face was number one was actually access issues. We have trees down, we have all kinds of power lines down, and then on top of it, as we start to arrive on scene, we start to get bombarded with actually more hail and more storms. So it sort of kept snowballing. Right now we have actually 10 companies up there working, and we expect to be up there most of the evening. And just like the mayor said, we have Red Cross on scene because one of our next big challenges is to try to mobilize and shelter in place the people who have lost their homes. So like I said, those are our challenges right now, is access and actually mobilization of the people who have lost their homes. Other than that, I think that sort of sums it up and dovetails off what the mayor just said. So, sure. Okay.
I'm next going to introduce another great partner of ours that has already been out on the scene surveying the damage with his colleagues, and that is such an amazing partner to our entire city in all situations like this when we are recovering from disasters and helping residents who are in need. Let me introduce to you the CEO of Red Cross here in Louisville, Steve Cunanan. And following Steve, I'll have some concluding remarks, and then we'll be happy to take questions from the media. Steve?
I want to emphasize that this is an evolving situation for the Red Cross. As more is known, I'm sure the nature of our response will change. We are continuing to work with our community partners and emergency management officials to determine what exactly those needs are. We have disaster teams in the field right now assessing individual needs and working to assess damage. As of this time, we do not have an emergency shelter open, but as I say, that may change as the nature of this response progresses. I'm going to emphasize that if you are unable to stay in your house for tonight or into the future, please call 1-800-RED CROSS. When you call that number, we will go ahead and take care of your needs. Again, that's 1-800-RED CROSS. So thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Steve. Thank you very much, Chief Grudy. This collaboration and this partnership will continue in the days ahead. We all need to work together and support each other to continue to help out to the best of our abilities with the resources that each one of our agencies has. The governor will be in the area tomorrow, surveying the damage as well. We really appreciate the state's immediate effort to provide forestry teams and to assist us with this. And so we will continue to work closely with the state as well as the local agencies here throughout Louisville and Jefferson County. With that, the Chief, Steve, or I are happy to take any questions that you all might have.
We had heard some reports about some people possibly trapped in a home, maybe 2 people. We think that was near the Oldham County line, possibly on Charlock Court. Can you confirm if any Metro agencies responded to that, or if you're aware of that?
I don't believe we have. Are you aware of that, Chief?
Actually, one of the first few calls we came in, or that actually came in, I think had one of those addresses on it, but I mean, once we got there, there was nobody found, nobody trapped. So.
Okay. Was there a home that had, a roof had collapsed on a basement possibly?
I can't speak necessarily to that address. I mean, right now we have multiple homes that are damaged, so I don't really have any specificity on exactly which addresses.
But there was, as we mentioned earlier, there is some confirmation of structural collapses on some buildings. We have seen many homes with roofs torn off from both on the ground as well as some of the live drone footage that we've been monitoring.
And is that what you're referring to as a structural collapse, the roof torn off, or are we actually seeing like buildings coming all the way to the ground?
It could be a combination of both. I mean, we have not actually quantified any of those things right now. If there are any buildings that have completely collapsed, like I said, they're being called in as such, but I have no information at my fingertips to say that, yeah, we have houses that have completely come down.
It might be other structures such as a barn or a detached garage as well. Could be the collapse as well. So we're trying to get confirmation on all of that. That's based on reports that we're getting from the field.
Could you talk about the possible danger of people driving now that the sun has gone down? Do you have a rough count on, how many streetlights are out, or can you name any road closures that will for sure continue to be a road closure for multiple hours?
I can't necessarily say for sure, but I can tell you general areas that I suspect are dark right now. I would suspect all of the Hunting Creek area here right now. I would suspect going down Cover Bridge Road as you're heading for Prospect in Oldham County, and I'm not sure about on the on the north side of 42. I don't have any reports to see what's out or what isn't.
I think it's very important that if anyone is driving, particularly in the Prospect neighborhood or anywhere throughout the region, that if they see either down power lines or trees that are blocking a road, don't try to pass. Turn around and go another way, but do not try to pass, because you might not be able to see a power line that's intertwined with the tree or that's down. And so please, we will get to that. We've got great reporting mechanisms and professionals will deal with that to ensure that any lines are turned off so that we can clear these trees as quickly as possible.
And I think also, if there is down power lines, do not attempt to move them.
Yep.
Because you do not know if they're energized. Do not attempt to try to cut up any type of tree limbs that are on power lines, because that could lead to problems as well.
Yes.
Do you know approximately how many are down right now, and or are LG&E crews out right now, or is that going to be later tonight? I apologize if you guys don't know.
Yeah, no, that's okay. We don't have an exact number of how many power lines are down. We do know that some power lines are down, yes. And we know that approximately 3,000 residents in Jefferson County are without power, similar number in Oldham County, and yes, LG&E crews are out and about right now.
Is there any estimate
Not yet. We don't have that information yet. We will continue. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, can you provide a little bit more insight about what the fire crews are going to be doing in Henry County? Because in talking to KSP, they said the damage up there is mostly farms and trees down.
We were made aware of a need for some support, and so we're getting them out there to provide that support. I don't have any other information on the exact nature of what they'll be doing yet. However we can help, we want to be helpful. These are not individuals that are needed right now for our efforts here in Jefferson County, and so we want to support our fellow public servants in other counties as well if they need it, and if we get there on site and they're not needed, they'll come back home.
Did you say that you believe it crossed the river in the Beachland Beach area?
Correct.
And do you think from that point it kind of went and followed Covered Bridge Road?
Let me restate that. The damage in Jefferson County in the Prospect area begins at the Beachland Beach area. That is where the damage begins. Again, we have no confirmation at this point that it was a tornado. We're waiting on the National Weather Service to provide that information, but the damage began at the Beachland Beach and the Ohio River area. We will continue to keep you guys updated over the coming hours and days. Again, a giant thanks to the Anchorage Middletown Fire Department and every other public and nonprofit and private agency that's been involved in this effort. Thank you all very much, and again, remember to stay safe out there and keep in touch to heed the warnings. Thanks a lot.